Hi, Chris Petri. Glad you could be here. We're actually going to paint a beautiful English village scene. I actually did this painting here, which is an ink and wash. The reason I'm creating this video is I took about 45 minutes to create this this painting with ink and wash, and I was trying to process this for today's lesson, today's video. Only thing was my computer was having a little bit of a problem, so I have to figure out something. I'm not sure if I'm processing my videos. I have changed some of my equipment recently, so with new equipment, I guess we always have to try to troubleshoot things and figure things out. So I'm in the process. So if we're seeing this video where we're not doing this painting, then I guess I couldn't get this video to upload correctly. So I did this in about 45 minutes. We used, for this painting, we used super black speedball ink, India ink, super black, and a little inkwell, and I used just a simple bamboo pen with the ink, and we roughed in ink and wash. We roughed in some of the darks in the windows and so forth, and some of the trees and outlines of the village buildings in the wall here and so forth. So that was the video I did create for today, but I don't know if I can actually get this video uploaded correctly, and I'm not sure if it's going to be able to be saved, because I'm not sure if my laptop has issues where I can't save the files, the video files. So in any case, but what we'll do today is we'll actually take this and we'll just make a standard watercolor with this, with just a simple pencil and mechanical pencil, number 7, or is it number 9, mechanical pencil, and some watercolor paper, and we'll just use this as our reference. So I'll use this, and then we'll just use a little bit of a different approach. Instead of some of the techniques we used with this, we'll just change those things, and we'll maybe just do a nice simple watercolor with pencil drawing and some nice simple washes, some really beautiful color. Maybe we'll keep it a simple color scheme. So we'll make it more of a, instead of using maybe a large group of colors, maybe we'll maybe just key in on a few colors for this, just to make it a more interesting look for our video. All right, so let's start our painting, our drawing, and so I'm going to set this up across from me. Okay. And since we completed that ink and wash painting, I'm just going to work from that. So this is pretty much, I'm just going to follow the drawing here. I'll do a contour drawing, and I just take my time and I follow the lines that I see. And there's a stone wall here, it looks like, some large blocks of concrete or stone, and then this wall eventually turns into more of a rock wall, stone wall, and there's a top to the wall here, and it curves around there. And then we have another wall here, so I'll just put this in here. And I think I'm gonna I'm not going to put this other wall in. There was another rock wall on the other side of this road, so it looks like a nice paved road that goes around into this village. I'm going to leave this other wall here out of the painting. I think it'll be more simple to leave that out, and then I think what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'm just going to take a quick look and kind of judge where the building starts, approximately there. So we have the grass and the field and bushes in front of the beautiful mansion. It looks like a beautiful English mansion here on this side of the picture, the painting. And there's a tree here, but I want to get this, the main focus is this mansion here. So I'm gonna, there's some trees over here on the side. And then I'm gonna do the first peak. This is a gable on the roof. And then there's a second gable that goes up a little higher. Now I'm just going to kind of relate where I see everything. So the roof over here is about there. And that looks about good there. And we're going to do the second gable here. And then there's a tree over here. So we're going to have that tree like so. And over here's the other. And there's some trees over here too in the distance. So this is the other. And I'll improvise here. I'm going to make a rock wall here maybe. And we have a chimney there. And then we have another large chimney up here. And we have some windows, so I'm going to take careful notice of the windows, just a reference point. The windows look about here, and they also are on the same horizontal line on both of these gables on this mansion here. This is a larger window, 3 windows. It looks like 3 windows here. This one is about, it looks like 2 windows. So we'll have that there. And then there's another window down here. It looks like the first floor, same style window. 3 windows there. Okay, so our sketch is coming along really well. And again, we're not going too detailed, just kind of roughing in the basic ideas of everything here. I just want to make sure I allow for the trim on the gables here, the wood trim that goes around the gables of these roofs. And that looks pretty good. So we're just going to have some quick fun here. We're going to do just a really light-hearted English village in watercolor. We just did our contour drawing. And again, we used our, we did this also previously. This was a ink and wash that we did. So I'm using this as my reference. And then I just created a pencil sketch instead of using the ink. We could also use Sharpies. I use sometimes Sharpies pens to create an ink and wash style. So I sometimes use Sharpie pens, permanent markers. The only thing is, if I was to use a Sharpie to do an ink and wash style watercolor, I would use smooth paper because the rough paper destroys the pens, the points on these pens. So I use really smooth paper, watercolor paper, when I use the Sharpie pens. If I'm using the Speedball ink, black ink with the bamboo pen, I don't have to worry. I can use either smooth or rough watercolor paper. But let's get started here. We're gonna so let's take an idea here. Let's keep it more of a simple approach with our colors. Maybe some raw sienna, raw umber, a little bit of burnt umber. We use some cerulean blue, cobalt blue, a bit of French ultramarine. So we'll mix our blues in here. A little bit of mineral violet or French or ultramarine violet. And over here we'll take some alizarin crimson for some really warm, exciting, intense red, and maybe a little bit of orange. So, and a little bit of cadmium red too. So we'll just have some more of our intense reds over here, and we'll the predominant color. Let's use this. Let's use the raw umber, raw sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre, and maybe some of the blues. But let's use our predominant color here, the siennas, with a little bit of some blue, cerulean blue mixed into that. We'll see how this goes. And sometimes it's really good to get in some of the darks first off as we start out. So let's do that. Let's use some French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, a little bit of cobalt blue, a little bit of mix of, and maybe we'll just get some of these darks in here for the windows. So what's really helpful, if you can get some darks in right when you start out the painting, it can help you to gauge the rest of the colors. So I'll mix in some. Again, here I'm not going to getting too worried about the details. I'm just trying to get those dark of the windows there. And that looks fine. All right, and now we can continue on. And this is a stone mansion here, this English village. This is a stone mansion, and there's this mansion is made of stone, the walls, the facades. So we're going to make sure we get those stone-like shapes, which would be some splashing and spattering, and maybe a little bit of green here. And that gives a great feel of the stone. And that also blends in nicely with the trees. We're going to splash with the trees too when we paint the trees. And as we go, I'm using a number 6 round brush. And we can use a little green here for our trees, olive green, sap green. And nothing too fancy, some splashing, a little bit of finger painting, tapping the finger on the paper, and then we can go in and do some raw umber in there too, some cerulean blue. So we're keeping the colors pretty subdued here. And I'll try to repeat the cerulean blue here and there. The roof's a little cooler in color. And you can see I'm mixing a lot, but not really that many colors. French ultramarine blue for the roof, cobalt, and then a little bit of burnt umber and some raw umber. And I can just work that around. So that window color of French ultramarine blue, mineral violet, or ultramarine violet, purple color, and French ultramarine blue, some burnt umber, that dark. A little bit of raw umber in there too. That gets us that really interesting roof color. This is Arches rough paper, gray paper. You can really work a lot of colors into your washes, and you have a lot of time to work versus some other papers that are, sometimes there's some artist grade, some student grade papers and things. Those are sometimes a little more difficult to work with. To have a lot of working time, so I use Arches most times, or Fabriano, and then I might add a couple really dark spots here and there.